What's up, everybody? So let's talk about Lizzo one more time. I told y'all this was going to be a mini series. So I saw this lady on TikTok. She read every page of the lawsuit. It was a total of 37 pages of the lawsuit that is against Lizzo and other people in her team. And this lady, she broke down each detail that was in the lawsuit. I really don't have much more to say after this lady explains everything, but y'all know what y'all gotta do. Y'all comment down below, let me know your thoughts. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe to my channel, share this video, like this video, and y'all know what y'all gotta do. Stay tuned for the next video. Now on to this video. And her TikTok handle is Talk of Shame. So go check her out.
Pages of the lawsuit against Lizzo, her production company, and the captain of her dance squad. And wow, there is a lot in here. I want to try to just give you the highlights and also not get banned because some of this stuff is pretty wild. There are 9 different complaints in this lawsuit. Some of the complaints are all of the plaintiffs against all of the defendants being Lizzo, her production company, and her dance captain, Shirley Quigley. And some of the complaints are just 1 or 2 of the plaintiffs against maybe 1 or 2 of the defendants. The first complaint is hostile work environment. The second complaint is failure to prevent and or remedy hostile work environment. Third is religious harassment. Fourth is failure to prevent and or remedy religious harassment. Fifth is racial harassment. Sixth is disability discrimination. Seventh is intentional interference with prospective economic. 8 is assault. And 9 is false imprisonment. So 2 of the dancers we met on Lizzo's show, Watch Out for the Big Girls, and the third dancer was hired a little bit later. And we also met the dance captain, Shirley Quigley, who is named as a defendant in this suit. A lot of major claims in this lawsuit center around the dance captain, Shirley Quigley, and it seems, according to this lawsuit, like she was just this uber religious woman, and she was constantly trying to like talk about the Lord and trying to convert people, and people were uncomfortable with it, and she was preaching about how premarital sex was bad. And then when she found out one of the dancers in this lawsuit, Ariana Davis, was a virgin, she became like obsessed with this and would just like bring it up and talk about it all the time, which obviously made her really uncomfortable. But then it's like really strange because then even though she's like uber religious and preaching all these things, she would also like talk about weird sexual things in front of them. And they said that she had this like what was called a party trick where she would use a banana to simulate, you know what I'm saying, with her mouth, and it was like a thing she did. They say in this lawsuit that it didn't stop there with Quigley, and that like in addition to like doing this like faux simulation with the banana, she would talk about how like pleasing yourself, you know, is against her religion, but then she'd be like, but oops, today I had an oopsie, which is just like strange. And they said like that, you know, she would talk about these sort of like sexually explicit comments so much that the entire dance team knew that her fantasy was having, let me see how I can put this, 10 eggplants in her face. They all knew this apparently. Another of the allegations in this suit is that after performances, Lizzo would invite the dancers out for a night on the town. And one night in Amsterdam, she had this whole event like in the red light district at this like club where there was like nude cabaret performers. And Ariana Davis says that like, you know, she really didn't want to participate, but like she was being egged on and basically forced to, you know, touch the breast of one of the performer, even though she didn't want to. So what the dancers allege in the suit is that like even though they didn't want to go to these places and they felt uncomfortable, they felt they had to for job security because they said it was just sort of this like unspoken, you know, thing that dancers who participated in these extracurriculars got preferential treatment by Lizzo and had more job security. Now, where the racial discrimination comes in, the dancers say that the management team was mostly white people, and that the production team treated the black members of the dance team differently than other members, and that allegedly they accused the black members of the dance team of being lazy, unprofessional, and having bad attitudes. So then, according to this lawsuit, they get back from the European part of this tour, and Lizzo's just like unhappy with all the dancers and says, like, everyone has to re-audition, and your jobs aren't safe, and if I don't like the way you audition, you're going to be fired. And that this audition allegedly turned into this 12-hour day where the dancers just felt like scared to even leave the stage or they were going to get fired. So the one dancer, Davis, said like she really had to use the bathroom, but was too scared, so ended up, urinating on herself. So then where the assault and false imprisonment comes in, so two of the dancers, Davis and Williams, were fired, and it was like kind of embarrassing how they did it. They kind of did it publicly. And the other dancer, Rodriguez, like didn't really like how that all went down. So she approached Lizzo and was like, I need to have a talk to you about how you handle the situation. And according to Rodriguez in this complaint, she said that Lizzo got really aggressive, approached her, cracking her knuckles, balling her fists, and exclaiming, "You're lucky, you're so effing lucky." And she says that she believes that Lizzo intended to hit her and would have done so if one of the other dancers hadn't intervened. And then the false imprisonment comes because Davis said that, like, she had been accused of she had recorded a conversation that had happened, but she said that, she has this like anxiety disability where she like can't really process it in the moment. She needs to record things and listen to it later. And the management team and Lizzo were like, you recorded this conversation, got mad. So when they fired her, they like allegedly kept her in this room, like went through her phone until they could like see that she had deleted the file. There's still so much more to unpack with this lawsuit, and now I'm also seeing that other dancers are posting in their stories, sort of corroborating what the dancers in this lawsuit are saying and saying they had similar experiences. So I'm going to keep sharing more as I get more information. As I dig into the details of this lawsuit against Lizzo's production company, and the captain of the dance squad, there are two overarching themes that carry out throughout this entire complaint. One, the captain of the dance squad, Shirlene Quigley, allegedly was extremely pushy about her religious beliefs to the point that it made the other dancers extremely uncomfortable. And in addition to this pushy religious behavior, because she was their supervisor, there were times that she was allegedly acting very inappropriate, and it went unchecked because she was their supervisor. And two, it seems that Lizzo's biggest mistake was blurring that line between, employer, employee, and friends. Some of the allegations in this lawsuit are that Lizzo or associates of Lizzo would invite the dancers to strip clubs, and there would be performers shooting bananas out of their hoo-has, and the dancers would catch them, or they'd be asked to like eat a banana out of places on the performers. All behavior that an employer should not be engaging in with their employee. That is reserved for like your closest ride or die friends. Also, what's interesting as reading through this lawsuit is, we know Lizzo obviously as a celebrity, an online celebrity, and that's all we know about her. And it's hard to sometimes separate like what is the real person versus like what is the persona, because we don't know that. So for instance, one of the claims is about assault, and one of the dancers talked about how they confronted Lizzo after they didn't like how one of the other dancers was fired, and allegedly Lizzo got really mad, cracked her knuckles, balled up her fists, and that allegedly, there was going to be an altercation if one of the other dancers hadn't, broken it up. And what the dancer alleges is that as Lizzo was leaving the room, she threw up her middle fingers and yelled, "Bye, bitch." Now, we've all seen the viral videos of, Lizzo doing that. So it's like easy for us to believe that could happen. But then it's also like, would an employer do this to an employee? It just seems so insane. But I think ultimately this is going to come down to just proof of like what was reported and what was ignored by management. Another of the allegations made in this suit is that there was, a bus driver, and, one of the dancers brushed past him, and he said something like, "Oh, you can back that thing on up close to me." And they allegedly made complaints to the management team about how there was inappropriate behavior, but nothing was done. So if there was people at the top that were getting complaints and nothing was being done, this is where they're going to have real issues. Also, I want to address the fat shaming and body shaming that was being talked about, because obviously that was the most shocking part of the allegations that were coming out. Now, it's not included in the actual lawsuit because fat shaming isn't illegal, so they're not suing for that, but they do talk about it in the lawsuit. So there were no instances of like people, calling other people fat or anything like that. That didn't go down. But what happened is one of the dancers said that like she had been putting on weight and she noticed it and felt like that management and Lizzo noticed it and that they were inferring that, you know, some of her issues could be related to that weight gain, but they never said it. It was all inferred. And then another allegation is that after one of the other dancers got fired, is that Lizzo, you know, said, you know, weight gain could be cause for termination. And the dancer alleges that she looked right at her and felt she was talking specifically about her. And while I've, you know, heard of like weight gain being cause for termination, it's usually at a place like Hooters where you have to wear those specific uniforms. So I do think it was surprising, you know, to hear that allegedly weight gain could be cause for termination in this instance. But again, we have to hear the other side of the story. There will be responses to this complaint. And so, you know, maybe we'll see the bigger picture. But overall, it's still just really,